Hey everyone, and welcome back to EcoHub podcast. Today we're diving into Japanese startups.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah, those spinning right out of universities.
Oh, very cool.
So get this, there's this new report, and it's from Nikkei BP Consulting.
Okay.
They're like the super sleuths of Japanese business.
Uh-huh.
And their report that we're looking at today is called University Launched Venture Companies in Japan. Current status and issues 2024.
Catchy.
It is.
Yeah.
So first things first, this report says there's like over 4,288 university-launched companies in Japan.
Wow.
That's like a whole city of entrepreneurs.
Yeah, that's a lot. And that number has jumped by more than 500 in just the past year.
Oh, wow.
So to put that in perspective, it's like adding a whole new neighborhood to that startup city every year.
Whoa. That's a crazy amount of growth. What's fueling this explosion of startups?
Right.
Is it like a Japanese Silicon Valley thing?
Well, Tokyo University is definitely a major player with over 420 startups under its belt.
Wow.
But it's not just the big names.
Oh, really?
Some smaller specialized universities are seeing incredible growth.
Like who?
There's this one, the Information Management and Innovation Professional University.
Okay.
It's kind of a mouthful.
Yeah.
But they've had a 307% increase in startups.
Really?
Yeah. Imagine going to a university where practically everyone's launching a company.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So what are all these brainy entrepreneurs working on?
Yeah.
Any particular industries catching your eye?
Unsurprisingly, IT is a big one, especially software and app development. Think about it. You've got researchers working on cutting-edge algorithms, and then boom, they turn it into the next big app.
Makes sense. What else?
Biohealthcare is another hotbed.
Yeah.
It's no surprise, really. Japan's known for its high-quality healthcare system.
Yeah.
And its researchers are making breakthroughs all the time.
Right. So they're taking those discoveries and turning them into life-saving products and treatments.
Exactly.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, what's the role of PhDs in all of this? Are we talking about professors moonlighting as CEOs?
It's more than just moonlighting. Over 70% of these university-launched companies have at least one PhD on board.
Whoa.
It's like their secret weapon. They're bringing serious brainpower to the table.
So it's not just about having a great idea. You need the scientific chops to back it up.
Right.
But hold on. If these startups are so hot, are they all going public, becoming the next big IPO?
Well, here's the thing. In 2023, not a single university-launched company went public on the Tokyo Stock Exchange.
Wait, really? Zero?
Zero.
That's kind of surprising. Why is that?
It might be that these research-driven companies just take longer to reach the kind of growth that investors are looking for in an IPO.
Okay.
It's a bit like those slow-growing trees that produce the most amazing fruit. You got to be patient.
Makes sense. But if they're not going public, how are these startups getting the money they need to grow?
Right.
Are we talking big venture capital funds swooping in?
Not quite. Here's a surprising fact. 70% of these startups are primarily funded by the founders themselves.
Wow.
Talk about dedication.
So they're really putting their money where their mouth is.
Yeah.
But surely they can't rely on their own savings forever, right?
Exactly. To really scale up and make a big impact, they'll need to attract outside investment.
Okay.
And that's where things get interesting.
Okay, I'm hooked. Let's dive deeper into the funding side of things.
Yeah.
Where are these startups getting their cash?
Yeah.
Is the government playing a role? What about venture capitalists?
Well, there's a lot to unpack there.
Of
What's
course.
fascinating is that the Japanese government is really stepping up to support these startups.
Okay, so it's not just the founders bootstrapping their way to success.
No.
What's the government doing throwing cash at anyone with a PhD and a dream?
Not exactly, but they've launched a bunch of initiatives to provide funding and resources.
Okay.
Think of it like fertilizer for this startup ecosystem.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So what kind of fertilizer are we talking about? Are they giving out grants, tax breaks, free office space?
All of the above, actually. There are grants for early-stage research tax incentives for investors, and even these really cool incubation centers popping up on campuses.
Incubation centers, huh? Are those like those shared workspaces you see in Silicon Valley, beanbag chairs, ping pong tables, kombucha on tap?
Kinda, but with a Japanese twist, they provide office space, mentorship workshops on business stuff, and even access to networks of investors.
So it's like a one-stop shop for turning a research project into a thriving company.
Exactly. They're trying to create the perfect environment for these startups to blossom.
It sounds like Japan is really serious about becoming a global hub for innovation. But let's face it, starting a company is tough, even with all this support. What are some of the hurdles these startups are facing?
Well, funding is always a challenge, even with government support and the founders' own contributions. It's often not enough to scale these ventures to their full potential.
Right, they need that extra boost to really take off. So what are they doing? Courting venture capitalists, pitching angel investors?
Absolutely. They're out there hustling, trying to attract investors who understand their vision and are willing to take a chance on these cutting-edge technologies.
But isn't it hard to get investors excited about research-heavy companies? I mean, some of these projects might take years, even decades, to really pay off.
That's a valid point, and it's one of the reasons why traditional IPOs might not be the best fit for these startups.
Right. We talked about that earlier. No university-launched companies went public last year.
Right.
So if the traditional route is blocked, what are their options?
That's where things get really interesting. There's a growing trend of alternative stock exchanges popping up, specifically designed for early-stage high-growth companies with longer investment horizons.
So kind of like a stock market for the future, where investors are betting on groundbreaking innovations even if they take a while to mature.
Exactly. It's like a patient investor's paradise.
I love it.
Yeah.
But even with these alternative exchanges, there are still challenges, right?
Absolutely. One of the biggest hurdles is attracting and retaining top talent. Remember, these startups are competing with established companies, and they need to offer competitive salaries and benefits.
Especially considering the high percentage of PhDs involved in these ventures. You can't attract top-tier researchers with ramen noodle budgets.
You're telling me, and it's not just about attracting talent, but also nurturing it. These startups need to create a culture that fosters creativity, collaboration, and a willingness to take risks.
Right. They need to build that Silicon Valley vibe, even if they're in the heart of Tokyo. But isn't that difficult in Japan with its more traditional corporate culture?
It can be a challenge, but these startups are trailblazers, forging a new path in the Japanese business landscape. They're showing that innovation and tradition can coexist and even complement each other.
That's a really cool point. It's like they're taking the best of both worlds and creating something truly unique. Okay, so we've talked about funding talent and the challenges of going public, but what about the specific areas these startups are focusing on? Are there any hot trends emerging?
Absolutely. The report dives deep into the types of companies being launched, and there are some clear patterns emerging.
Oh, I love patterns. Tell me more. What are these bright minds cooking up in their labs? Are we talking flying cars, teleportation devices, robot butlers?
Well, maybe not those specific things.
But so no flying cars, but what are these bright minds cooking up in their labs?
Well, one big area is biotech thinking, gene editing, personalized medicine stuff. That sounds like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie.
Oh, okay, yeah. I am picturing scientists in lab coats doing some incredible things. Is this where those PhDs really shine?
Absolutely. These are the folks who can take complex scientific discoveries and turn them into real-world solutions.
Give me an example. What kind of companies are we talking about?
Well, imagine a company that can tailor cancer treatments to your specific genetic makeup.
Whoa.
Or one that's developing new ways to grow organs in a lab.
Wow.
That's the kind of stuff these startups are working on.
That is mind-blowing. What else is happening outside of biotech?
Healthcare is another big one. We're talking about companies developing cutting-edge medical devices, diagnostic tools, and even new ways to deliver drugs.
So they're not just treating diseases. They're finding ways to prevent and diagnose them earlier.
Exactly. It's all about making healthcare more effective, personalized, and accessible.
This is all super exciting, but let's be real for a second. Starting a company is hard work.
Yeah.
Are there any challenges unique to these university startups?
Well, one thing that comes up in the report is the potential clash between academic culture and the fast-paced, results-driven world of startups.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. In academia, it's all about publishing papers and getting grants.
Right.
But in a startup, you've got to ship products and make money.
Right. And that can be a tough adjustment for some researchers who are used to the slower pace of academic life.
So how do they bridge that gap? Is it all about trial and error, or are there ways to prepare these PhDs for the entrepreneurial world?
That's where universities are stepping up. Many of them are offering entrepreneurship programs specifically designed for PhD students and postdocs.
So they're not just teaching them the science, they're also giving them the business skills they need to succeed.
Exactly. They're learning about things like market analysis, fundraising, and team building.
That makes a lot of sense. But even with the best training, it takes a certain type of person to thrive in the startup world, right? What kind of qualities do these PhD entrepreneurs share?
Well, they're definitely driven and passionate about their work, but they also have this incredible ability to see the big picture, to connect the dots between their research and the real-world problems they're trying to solve.
It sounds like they have a unique blend of scientific brilliance and entrepreneurial spirit. It's really inspiring to hear about these individuals who are pushing the boundaries of innovation.
And the report makes it clear that this is just the beginning. This wave of university startups is transforming Japan's economy and has the potential to make a global impact.
That's a powerful statement. It sounds like we're witnessing a new era of innovation, one where universities are playing a key role in shaping the future.
Absolutely, and it's a reminder that innovation can come from anywhere, even from a university lab.
Well said. This has been a fascinating deep dive into the world of Japanese university startups. It's amazing to see how these researchers are turning their ideas into real-world solutions.
And who knows what amazing innovations they'll come up with next.
That's the exciting part.
Yeah.
There's so much potential here. It's a story we'll definitely be following closely.
For sure, and we'll keep you updated right here on EcoHub Podcast.
That's it for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, keep exploring, keep innovating, and keep those questions coming. See you next time on EcoHub Podcast.